Thank you for coming on to the show. It means a lot
Of
to me.
course, of course, Nolan. My pleasure. My pleasure.
It means the world. Anyways, um, yeah. So this is my buddy Camden. I've known him for a long time. And Camden, why don't you start off by telling the audience just a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name's Camden Erickson. I'm 20, almost 21. I was born and raised in Juneau, Alaska, and now I'm kind of bouncing in between Bozeman and Juneau and traveling quite a bit. Got back from Europe, so I'm pretty pretty mobile these days. And then I come back in the summertime and I captain a commercial fishing boat. We longline for halibut and blackcod mainly. And yeah, in the wintertime, I've been working on some flight training and stuff. I hope to get my pilot's license here shortly. And yeah, I spend a lot of time outdoors. It's kind of what I live for, and enjoy playing music as well. And yeah,
Well, all right. I came to the broad realization that I'm going to ask you shit in the order that you just listed, and it's probably going to be longer than an hour, so we can
that's
all
all right.
make you come back.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm just chilling here in the Super Bear parking lot. So
I don't want to rush through it. I want to savor the flavor.
yeah, let's savor the flavor, Nolan. Let's do it.
All right. Great. Yeah. So you are the captain of a fishing boat. That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Let's start doing that.
Sorry, say that one more time. You broke up a little bit there.
When did you start being a captain?
When I was 17 is when I bought my first commercial boat. I've grown up fishing. I've been fishing since I was 3, probably. And it's always been like a very deep passion of mine. And when I was younger, I'd spend like every waking second I could out fishing. Um, and so I was spending a ton of time obviously fishing. And then when I was 12, I kind of had the realization that I could be getting paid for it. And that's when I started commercial fishing. Was yeah, yes, summer when I had just turned 12 years old, and I started halibut fishing with my dad commercially. Um, and shortly after that, I started fishing with my grandfather as well. So I was kind of bouncing in between those two boats. Then when I was 14, I got a job on a different boat, gill netting for a summer, and I kind of just bounced around, and kind of helped out my family members, my uncle as well, and some family friends. And it's something that I just really enjoy, and I feel fortunate that my interests align with a an industry, that can be very, very, very fruitful at times. So I just kind of embraced it, and I was making good money, and I just really loved what I did. And yeah, I just when I was 17, I had the opportunity to get financing for a boat, and couldn't turn it down. And I've known since I was tiny that it's what I wanted to do, and so I went ahead and did it.
Damn, that is very cool. I've always admired people who say that. It's like ever since I was a little kid, I've known that I wanted to do this one thing, and
Yeah,
I've personally never felt that way about anything.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's I think that's really neat and really cool about fishing, commercial fishing, in like specifically is how hard it is. Um, for people that don't know, it's a gnarly job. You basically like fish all the time when the fishing's hot, right?
yeah, yeah. And it kind of depends on the fishery. They, I mean, depending on what fishery you're in, they have different openers and whatnot. Longlining tends to be pretty brutal. Especially halibut fishing is physically taxing. Um, it's kind of a strange thing, and I guess it's again because I love it so much, but um, it rarely feels like work to me. It's like I'm out there, and like to me, I'm just catching fish. It's like what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
At which again, I feel fortunate because I feel like a lot of people haven't found that at my age. No, I feel like a lot of people don't find it. So again, yeah, I'm grateful that things went the way they did, and yeah.
yeah. That's badass. What are what are have you had any close calls commercial fishing? What what are some of the closest?
Yeah. So had more than close calls. So I think the first like really scary experience I had was I was probably well, I was pretty young. I was maybe 7 or 8. Um, we were out on the coast, so out in the Gulf, and we were actually sport fishing at the time. So I hadn't been commercial fishing at that point yet. But we were out there, and it was kind of. I mean, it wasn't super scary, but it was a little bit gnarly. Maybe 8 foot rollers or so, 8 or 9 footers. So like, don't really want to mess with that too much. Obviously, it's safe to be in a boat out there, but and weather, when the weather gets a little bit worse like that, things can happen quicker, and um, obviously, it kind of just increases the danger of all aspects of fishing. So, anyways, I was fighting the salmon in, and I had it almost up to the boat, and my grandfather, he went to net the fish, and just slipped off the back of the boat. And it was myself, my grandma, who had no clue how to run the boat. I was 8 at the time, so I kind of knew, but I wasn't confident enough to really do anything. And then he had his 2 cousins from Seattle who had been on a boat like 3 times. And so my grandpa's like the only guy who knows how to run the boat. He's in the water, and at this point he's probably 100 yards behind the boat because we were still trolling, and no one on the
Oh,
boat could. Yeah, no one on the boat
we're
could
just
figure out.
floating stationary.
Yeah, I remember I could see his head just come up on like the crest of a wave, and I was just like watching him like slowly drift away from the boat. And so he's like yelling, at his cousins, and they finally got the boat in neutral and reverse, and they backed up towards them, which again is scary because the boat's in an eight
Can't
foot
turn it
swell,
around
so
because the boat could flip, right?
it could, but
Like, 'cause-
in this case, it made more sense to back into it because one, no one was very good at maneuvering the boat, and two, it's like you'd have to get him at the back of the boat anyways to get him back onto it because the front of the boat's so high. Obviously, you couldn't do that. So we're backing up towards him, and like the swells are like coming over the back of the boat, and it's like pretty pretty hectic. And they're backing up, and he like holds on to the back of the boat, and they're still in reverse, and a swell comes and pushes him under the boat, and and afterwards he says that he just remembers seeing the props spinning underneath the boat, which is fucking terrifying,
oh,
obviously. so
oh, yeah.
so anyways, so he like gets back up behind the boat. Luckily he didn't get crushed at all, and I'm on the couch, and they're just like in shock, obviously, because I'm 8 years old and I've never seen anything like this. And like everyone else is on the back deck trying to pull him up onto the boat, and we timed it when a wave came like kind of over the back of the boat, and I pulled him back up onto it, and yeah, he's still here. But that was kind of my first scary experience,
Oh my
and
God.
yeah,
The,
that was.
his face, like seeing the propeller underneath the boat, just
Well, yeah, Yeah, I mean, the boat was in reverse too, and he says he just remembers looking down and just seeing these two props. Just, yeah, pretty scary.
That
Um,
makes me horny for fishing.
huh?
God damn. That makes me horny for fishing. That
That
is,
does really.
I don't know, man. Something about it. You get me riled up, Camden.
Oh, I know. Well, I mean, that's honestly that's a little bit of the draw for me too. Not like obviously I'd rather not fall off the boat and die, but there's definitely something to be said for being out there and I mean, your life is in your hands, you know. It's like there's something very liberating about it that is definitely a draw for me.
Yeah, it's like whether you're like doing flips or going like hiking up a big mountain or in the middle of the
Right.
freaking ocean, there's like it wouldn't be as amazing as it is if your life wasn't in your hands.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, and I I can't get enough of it. Unfortunately, it's just yeah. I don't know. There's something about commercial fishing that just draws me in. I don't know. I don't can't exactly put my finger on it, but
And bro, you make me want to quit my trail building job.
might have to.
Maybe one day. One day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
also, I'm gonna put your Instagram uh,
Okay.
in the link in the description on
Yeah.
YouTube because Camden basically just has the most badass Instagram of anybody
Oh,
I know. Sometimes
thank you.
I
No.
stalk you online when I'm bored. It's like I want to look at cool shit, and I'll just search up your name. Oh my gosh! Like talk
So
about thing I want to ask you about. You caught a halibut bigger than you when you were commercial fishing
yeah,
last.
yeah. I mean, we've caught quite a few um that were bigger, but yeah, we did catch a nice one last year. It was I believe it was 228 pounds or no, sorry, 328 pounds live, and so it was like 288 headed and gutted or so.
Gosh, that is so cool.
Yeah, it's it's a very big morale booster when you pull that thing on board. It's just like
Yeah, I'm sure.
yeah,
Um,
and yeah, halibut's cool. I mean, so I fished halibut and blackcod both, and both both can be very fun and very miserable in their own right. Um, but I think like halibut fishing is kind of what I've grown up doing, and I think I like halibut fishing much more than blackcod. It's much more technical. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. You have to. I mean, the areas where we fish, you can only fish them on certain tides, because the tides, if you go at the wrong time, they'll be running 7 or 8 knots through the area where we fish, and you can lose gear. You can get your boat washed up on. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. So that's kind of a fun aspect of halibut fishing. You have to watch very closely, like where the different tides and the currents come in. So it's in a lot of ways it's similar to fly fishing for trout. I think is a good analogy because when you're fly fishing for I don't know have you fly fished much?
not a day in my
No.
life.
Okay, but you kind of know
Actually,
like
one day
when
I've done it once. I've done it once.
you have. Okay. It's not a secret, but it's a good spot.
But it's a secret. All right.
It's it's not a secret. Like a lot of people know about it, but it's good though. That's like one of my favorite places to fish in Juneau. Isn't it so pretty down there?
Beautiful. I had a great time. I didn't catch a
Yeah,
damn thing, but I was having fun.
yeah. Anyway, so I'm not sure who you went with, but did they explain to you like kind of where you want to put your fly?
No, I was
At
with
all?
Cole,
No.
just drinking
Oh,
beer and having.
okay, fair enough. Well, um,
Where do you want
when
to put
you're
your fly?
so when you're fly fishing, you want to look for like back eddies and seams. So like where you'll have like a faster body of water meeting a slower body of water, and that seam right there will pull a lot of feed into that seam. And so if there's a lot of food being distributed there, obviously fish are going to be there, right? So it's very, very similar with halibut fishing. So, and instead of current from the river, you're using tides, as your mean of distribution. But you want to look for places that are likely to have food distributed. So let's say you have like a very narrow entrance to a bay or something, and then you have a wide part on one side. You'll go in there and you can see where they call it the bread line, but it's where there's like a line of kelp, and it shows kind of where the water is pushing. Well, I guess where the water is being pushed, and in turn it also pushes feed. So you want to look for spots like that.
When you say feed, Camden,
Yeah,
you're just like food that the fish is going to eat, right?
you're right. Yeah, like
Okay. What do
mainly
they?
small, like
Just like
small.
smaller
Well,
stuff.
yeah, I mean halibut are largely scavengers. They eat a lot of dead stuff that falls.
Oh,
Um, but they also will use off the bottom. Actually, much more commonly than you'd think. I've caught a lot of halibut trolling for salmon. Actually, I've caught a lot of them hundreds of feet off the bottom, which is interesting. But for sake of the argument, we'll say that the halibut are on the bottom because that's where they are 90% of the time. So you'll go and you'll set your long line. Well, something I like to do, but you just go and you find these areas that the feed is being distributed or where you think it might be distributed, and you go and you set your long line there and hope for the best and pull it up. And there's a lot more that goes into it, like different bottom types or certain bottom types that halibut don't like. So there's a lot of and time of year also is a major factor. Like the fish in the wintertime go very deep to breed, and they're very hard to catch November through March or so, February. But then slowly, as the summer months come, they push up shallower and shallower, and all the halibut will come up. They come up the shallowest in late July, early August, mid August, somewhere around there, and they come and they chase all the salmon in when they're spawning. So when the salmon spawn and they get pushed back out of the creeks, the halibut will sit there and feed all the
cool.
salmon. So yeah, I guess that's why I like halibut fishing more. I just feel like there's a lot that goes into it, and you have to use your brain a little bit.
Word, yeah, it's you're a hunter.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I told you I was gonna ask you about piloting.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, no, I do. I do have one more question. Like you, in terms of being a captain, like you're a leader, basically. You're the leader of the boat. Like,
Yeah.
have there been situations where you've got to kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's been a really bad day and people like morale is down and just someone's performing out of line and you either gotta like kick them off your boat or like just do some shit you don't want to have to do. Has there ever
Many
been a
times.
situation like that?
Many times. That's I think my least favorite part about being a captain is having to deal with crew. Like it's by far been my biggest struggle. Um yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, every person is different. Every deckhand has different needs. It's it's becoming increasingly harder to find good help these days. And something like one of the first questions I ask someone before I hire them is if they love fishing, because commercial fishing is a hard enough industry, or if you don't truly have a passion for it, like you will not perform up to the expectation. I mean, like
You wouldn't want to hire me, bro.
But it's true. I mean, and I think that goes with anything, like if you truly have a passion for it, chances are is you'll put in more effort and you'll want to succeed more in that industry. Um, if you have a passion for it, I think there's other jobs that you can kind of just go through the motions and kind of do all right. But I think commercial fishing is hard enough and intense enough where if you're not fully invested and you're not on the ball at all hours, you can get yourself hurt very quickly. Um, so yeah, I think that's definitely been my biggest struggle. I mean, I've had to fire people before. I've had issues with deckhands stealing from other people, and
Oh,
yeah, there's
oh, let's
yeah,
not get that, but oh,
yeah,
yeah, we can keep out of that one.
yeah. We'll keep out of that one.
Telling me that that's yeah, dude. That's really admire that you put yourself in a leadership position. Even though that's really hard and challenging, but I think that helps young men grow. It's like
Definitely,
just
yeah.
putting yourself in the fire.
For sure. I like that's kind of always been my thing is like if I'd want to do something, I'd just dive in head first, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. Might as well give it a shot and find out.
Yeah, at least you went in deep.
Winning deep, yeah. Yeah.
Some might say balls deep.
Some might say. Some might say.
Some might say, God, that was stupid. Yeah, I think that's I think that's dope. I'm really happy for you that you found that you found that, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Yeah, there's a
Take fishing. Did you take
sorry?
your fishing boat out hunting this most recent time you went?
Yeah.
That's really
That's a pretty common thing in our family. I mean, there's a lot of commercial guys that do that, but hunting off a commercial boat is, in my opinion, especially in Southeast Alaska, is the way to do it because you have all this commercial equipment. You have cranes, you have saltwater hoses. You have a good place to process all the deer. It's like it's a very good platform, I feel, for hunting in the Southeast, and it's just such a blast too. I mean, we'll get this year we had a bit of a smaller group. We only had 5 this year, but there have been years where we've taken out our tender. It's called the Pacific Horizon. It's like a 65-foot. It was built as a Canadian seiner originally, but it's a tender now. But we'd get 8 or 10 guys on there and put 4 skiffs on the back and go out for 10 days, and like they're.
oh my
I have
God, that sounds like fun.
Oh, it's a blast. I have very, very vivid memories from when I was younger of just like my whole family and some close family friends just going out. And it's a kind of our thing to spend Thanksgiving on the boat. Um, so we'd go out and, hunt for 10 days and have a Thanksgiving dinner on the boat. It's just a really, really good time.
Do you have the do you prepare the kill? Do you prepare the kill for for dinner?
Uh, it depends. This year I believe we did have the kill for dinner. Sometimes we'll bring out a turkey though. We tend to eat a lot of deer anyways on the boat, so it's kind of nice to switch it up on Thanksgiving. But dep
Nice.
depends on the year. Depends on the year.
Yeah, spruce it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Word.
yeah.
Um, what a gosh, what's your so much? Been hunting? Actually, I've been hunting one time, and I went pheasant hunting in Iowa,
Uh-huh.
and a pheasant flew out from a bush, and it scared me, and I like shot at it, and I obviously missed it because I've never. It
Uh-huh.
was like, it was like walked for maybe a mile from my grandma's farm, and had a bad shot. Didn't even
Yeah.
hurt the pheasant.
That's good. That's
That's how bad it was. But Anyways, why do you like hunting so much? I personally kind of want to get into it. I'm definitely going to go hunting when I move back to Montana, and
Uh,
I just yeah, I'm curious
uh,
about it.
yeah, I kind of, it's a hard question to answer a little bit. There's a lot that goes into it. Uh, this is gonna sound super cheesy and cliche, but I feel like there's something with hunting and fishing to me that's like much deeper than just having a hobby. Like, I mean, I love to ski, I love to fly or whatever, but like, there's something about hunting and fishing I feel like is like, tickles the monkey brain a little bit.
It's written into your DNA.
I think so. Maybe it's the crazy Norwegian in me. I don't know, but there's
Oh,
yeah,
you could
I don't
be a
know.
Viking.
Yeah, I think so. Um, but
I could see.
yeah, I think so too. Uh,
Yeah,
Um,
I
but
wouldn't want you coming to my village. Scared.
I think it's bad. I think it's bad news when any Viking comes to your village.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gosh, there's a great. Do you know who Shane Gillis is?
I do. Yeah.
Have you heard his bit about
Uh,
the Vikings who raised the pride flag when the men are like, oh fuck.
yeah. I have. Yeah. Shane.
It's a good one.
Yeah, Shane Gillis, I think, is probably my favorite comedian right now. That guy is fucking
So funny.
hilarious.
Yeah.
The beautiful dogs. They're beautiful. Abu.
Poor Abu.
Abu, he died like a dog.
uh, gosh,
Oh
what a
boy.
yeah. That's a.
What what the fuck were we talking about? Oh, hunting.
We're
Uh
talking about hunting. We're
yeah.
talking about
So
Shingo. So,
so
um,
with hunt oh yeah. Um yeah, I feel like there's definitely something pretty deep in my DNA. Like I get like a very deep satisfaction for like bringing home meat to my friends and family, like I I don't know, like I think one of my favorite parts about it is like being able to come back and share the meat with everyone, and it's just a
I
very
like eat-
huh.
I like eating your meat, bro. Yeah. You make the sausage you bring to Montana is top tier.
Stop, Nolan, you're making me blush. Anyways, I love bringing top tier meat to Montana. Uh, yeah. I don't know. It fucking gets me going.
Gosh, when we played poker at your house and all the boys ate your sausage, it was just
I didn't even have to ask for
we dove in. Yeah,
it.
kept it warm in the oven, dude. Oh man, that's thick
uh,
sauce. It was fair.
yeah. Hmm. Indeed. Hold on, I can't hear you.
Hear me now.
I can hear you now.
Word.
Or
Cool. All right, so y'all, we like hunting because we can bring home meat to the family
uh-huh.
and the
And friends.
and yeah. And
Uh,
so what interests me most about hunting is it's objectively most of the time, unless you're bear hunting off the coast in a boat, a pretty miserable activity.
yeah, it can be.
Right?
Um,
You're just like you're going, and then it's kind of up to the hunter when the hunter wants to give up
yeah, yeah.
and go home,
For sure.
accept defeat. and that's the coolest thing to me about it, is that like you meet some hunters that just will not accept defeat, and I think it's really cool. And that's why I want to do it. And like, what's that like for you?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely a very driven person. If I make my mind up on something, I definitely do everything in my power to kind of finish the job. I think the biggest thing that makes a good hunter, in my opinion, I mean, obviously there's other skills that come into play that can increase your odds, but I think the biggest thing is having a high tolerance for very miserable experiences, because you can hike your ass off and hunt every day of the season, and you can be a shit hunter, and eventually you will get lucky. It's like if you put enough time in and you put enough miles in and you go and you camp and you stay out in some shitty weather when no one else is hunting, and if you just do everything you can to increase your chances, or rather just put in enough time, um, eventually you will get lucky. So there's like I think that's the biggest thing, and there's exceptions, obviously. I mean, Joe Blow and his Polaris Ranger will drive around on the roads, and yeah, like they'll get lucky and they'll kill animals, but the guys that are consistently killing animals and big animals are the guys that are putting on a lot of miles and just are suffering. That's kind of
Yeah,
what it comes down to. And I think that most of those guys that are putting in all those miles and they're suffering more than the average hunter, um, I think they they have this thing, which I'm sure or maybe you heard something about it, but there's type 1 and type 2 fun. Have Are you familiar with that? So type 1 fun,
I'm a big type 2 fun guy.
yeah, which
I
is good.
love
I
type
think,
2 fun.
and that's what I was saying, is I think those hunters that are highly successful love that type 2 fun. I mean, I'm definitely definitely a victim of that. Like, I don't know why, but there's something about going out there and just being absolutely miserable that just gets me going. It's like, and like I've had hunts where I've killed animals without having a lot of that type 2 fun, and they do not hold the same weight for me as even a smaller, like less impressive trophy, if you want to call it that. I feel like if I don't have a certain amount of type 2 fun in my hunt, it doesn't hold the same weight. So it's kind of, I mean, and I'm sure because you're into somewhat similar sports, but there's like, I don't know, there's just something to it. Like when you go out and suffer and then you accomplish this great thing, it's like, I don't know. In my opinion, it really adds to the experience and makes it a very memorable one. Um,
Yeah.
because all the hunts that I've had that have been rich in type 2 fun, I mean, I still remember. Like I've killed 2 Dall sheep, and both of them were without a doubt the most miserable experiences I've ever had. But like they definitely mean more to me than any other animal I've killed. And like there's it's just cool being able to look back and be like, wow, like I went into this area that was just fucking gnarly, and I got the shit kicked out of me, and I wanted to quit, and I didn't, and I came back with an animal, and it's just like the most, I don't know, I find it very, very cool to look back on that and do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I it's the fantasy to me. I can't say that I completely relate because I've never done it myself, but I really want to. And
Yeah.
swear to God, bro, I'm gonna get a deer. I'm gonna give you some of my meat, and it's gonna be awesome. And
I'll give you mine if you give me yours.
we can eat it together.
Yeah.
Sounds like a date.
Yeah.
I actually just finished this book. Speaking about type 2 fun,
Uh-huh.
um, you know who Cameron Haynes is
I
probably.
do. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I read his book Endure about like bow hunting and how he got into it, and just he arguably makes it way more miserable than you need to make it. But like at the same time, like actually, I've never been bow hunting, so I don't know if I really agree with what I just said. But I really admire his work ethic, and that it's just like he just like suffers all the time, and then he gets
Yeah.
these amazing animals.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying. Those guys that are more willing to endure that type 2 fun typically have more success, and he's one of them. I mean, obviously, he's a very big figure in the bow hunting world, but he suffers all the time, and he's successful. I mean, he puts in the work that needs to be put in for those bigger animals. He does it, so it's
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
not like it's not like it has to be a miserable experience because a vast majority of the guys do not make it a miserable experience, and they go out and they might kill an animal every year. They might not. They might get lucky, um, but you can kind of take out that guesswork of maybe getting an animal if you're willing to put in the type 2 fun. So kind of depends on
yeah.
how far you want to take it, I guess.
that is that is what I want to experience.
Yeah.
And
Well.
yeah,
Well. Yeah, we can go hunting. I can guarantee you a miserable time. We can make it very unenjoyable.
so if it's truly a miserable time, right? It's we would go. You bring a tent, or you don't even bring a tent. Maybe you bring like a tarp or something because you want a light pack. Bring like a
it
tarp and warm clothes and a like a tight small sleeping bag and maybe a bivy sack.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it really depends on where I'm at. If you're going like far into the backcountry, anywhere in Alaska, without at least a tarp, in my opinion, you're stupid and you're asking to get yourself killed. Um, in Montana, I camp with just a sleeping bag quite often. Um, but yeah, kind of depends on what climate you're in.
Or yeah, I'm trying to get a taste of that slightly softer hunting in Montana. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'll just ask for it and get the shit kicked out of me anyways. Probably will. Montana can get brutal, dude.
It can. Um, yeah.
But
There's
the don't. It's like especially coastal hunting in Alaska, the weather can change so quickly.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I mean there's I mean I would argue that the weather not in the high desert changes just as quick as the coastal weather. Um, but the thing that you don't have in the in the higher desert areas is a lot of precipitation, and if you get yourself wet, that can get you in trouble very quickly. That's like the biggest battle I feel of hunting in Alaska is keeping yourself dry and in turn warm. Like in Montana, I feel like, and I don't know, I'm shit talking Montana. Not that Montana is a cakewalk by any means, but there's just I think there are much more serious consequences hunting in
Mm.
Alaska, and that's kind of what draws people here. I mean that, and also it's world class hunting. There's a lot of really good opportunity here as well, but.
Yeah. No, I and like getting yourself. You can get wet anywhere you go. You can fall into a river or whatnot, or like I've getting agreed. Getting yourself wet is probably like the most don't do that shit type of thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
even if you're ski touring, if you're ski touring and you have to cross like 15 rivers, or you just like because you're being stupid, me, and like You don't want to fall in.
No, it's not good for anyone.
So, hey man, I got a couple more questions for you. I could just keep on bugging you about hunting,
Keep
but
on bugging me about whatever you want.
dude, I'm gonna bug you about something a little different, and
All right.
we'll swing back to hunting another day. But you've inspired me if you haven't already.
All right. All right.
It's really gonna happen. What's something, can be anything. What's something that you used to believe and now you've changed your mind about it?
Oh, that's a good one. I might have to think on that for a second. Oh, actually, I have something recently. Well, I've been like slowly realizing it for a while, but something that I've internalized recently. As I think I stated it earlier, but I just got back from a trip to Europe, and that was a huge eye opener for me. I mean, I spent 95% of my time in Juneau, being a pretty small town in Alaska. And I mean, I've been around the US a fair bit, but um, going over to Europe kind of showed me a bit of a different way of living. I've always been raised very much to produce results, and not necessarily to be happy, which for which is good and bad. But like up until somewhat recently, I've always, and don't get me wrong, I'm definitely still very results driven, and I feel like it's important to succeed. But being in Europe, like, and seeing the culture over there and how they live, they're much more concerned about their mental well being, and just
Yeah.
like kind of slowing down and enjoying life. Um, and it kind of made me realize that results are not everything, and sometimes you have to slow down a little bit and enjoy enjoy life. Like, we sat down on a Tuesday over there and had a 3 hour breakfast. It's like, don't you people fucking work at all? Like, what?
They don't. I
No,
swear.
but it was a very enjoyable experience. Like, it was so nice just to sit down and just visit, and I think that's something that people in America need to value a little bit more, because I mean, fuck, like half of the country is on antidepressants. Like, that should not be like that should not be the case.
Yeah.
Like, people are not designed to be on antidepressants. That's not, So yeah, I think that's like the biggest recent realization I've had, is there's a lot more to life than just producing results, and like, you do have to take time to take care of yourself and enjoy yourself. And like, well, one big thing that I tell myself a lot is like, what's the point of doing it if it's not bringing you happiness? Like, if you're doing something, okay, you go and you get this great job and you go to school for 12 years and you get a PhD or whatever, and then you're miserable, like, okay, like, it just really doesn't make sense to me. It's like, it seems like people, and like, I've definitely changed a lot of my regimen around this, but people want to be happy. Like, it's good for you to be happy, and you need to do things that are fulfilling, and you need to do things that make you happy, and not necessarily just produce results. And I'm not saying that there's not overlap there, because there are people that get great satisfaction out of getting a PhD and being a research scientist or whatever that may be, and power to them if they enjoy that. But um, that's definitely not for everyone. Definitely not for me. And I just think people need to focus on that more. And
Completely. I I agree with you as well. As I haven't really been taught to be like results driven all the time. I don't think to the extent that you were.
uh
But I like wasn't super stoked about how go with the flow I was out of high school. So I've recently, this past couple of years, been like pretty, bam, 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 like let's go get some shit done.
Yeah.
And like, dude, it's so stressful. It's like, it's the worst too. Cause like, I've just, essentially been trying to implement what you're talking about in a different way, which is just like, for me, it's slowing down, like literally saying out loud what I'm grateful for. Like, why am I doing this? And like, why am I pleased I'm doing, like at the gym this morning, instead of just being like, I gotta go to the gym because I want to get big and like, I gotta do it because I want to be successful. Like, no, I like genuinely like doing squats. Like, I love doing squats. It feels great. Like, and like, I'm really thankful that I can do squats. And even like this podcast, like, it started out for me like mentally as like an ego trip, as like, I just want to like just do some more shit, like, and then funny enough, like it's been the time in my week where I actually end up having the most fun and feeling the most relaxed once I'm doing it. But yeah, pretty much just what you're saying about taking time to enjoy life, because gosh, if I was like 80 years old and didn't take any time to appreciate things and have a 3-hour breakfast every once in a while, then what's the point?
Yeah, I think it's a very, very important thing for sure.
That's a really cool takeaway. I went to Europe as well recently. I did not have that profound of a takeaway.
Really?
I was when you were saying that, I was like, damn. In a good way. I was like, I went to Europe and gosh, I don't even know if I thought about it that much. They definitely live differently, and I'm still a little perplexed, to be honest with you. But I'm happy you said that, because it makes a lot of sense. I think they put more care into what they're making.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of like, gosh, you could like, we have America has some cool artists, I guess. But like, when I think of art, I think of like Europe. I think of like Western Europe, and it's like, gosh, there's like, what is it? Laissez-faire, like relaxed. Their relaxed policy on things. They make the best art. They make the best food. Did you go to Rome?
I did go to Rome.
Yo, gosh, this place was maybe like a 30 minutes walk away from the Colosseum, but I just walked into this little hole in the wall, I guess you could call it, and they had a lamb hanging on the ceilings, and made me the most amazing gyro like ever had.
Yeah.
Just made with love. It's better than any food I've ever had.
Yeah. No, the Europeans, and I think the Americans used to have this to some extent, definitely not to the same extent as the Europeans, but the Europeans, they like to make things that are beautiful, They're very concerned about the craftsmanship of their food, their cars, their guns. If you look at or most of like the very finely made machinery and art, just things in general, 90% of that comes out of Europe. There's a reason why Italian sports cars are a novelty item. It's because they're just designed, they're manufactured to much higher standards than the U.S. cars are. And again, not to say that U.S. doesn't have good cars, because yes, they have some, but the Europeans, they just take such great pride in their work, and what they do. And I think that's something that the Americans need to pick up, because like you go over there and just like even small things. Like I've noticed there was this lock on a bathroom stall that was just like felt it, and it was just machined so precisely, and it just like look, it was just so visually pleasing, and it's like that's just something that like, the Americans wouldn't even put any thought into, you know?
No,
Yeah, just like
wouldn't.
small stuff, like, but you know what I'm saying though. Like, there's just a lot of small things over there that are just like
Hmm.
things that Americans wouldn't put any thought into that they do.
Yeah, yeah. I this German guy. I guess I'm not really building jumps anymore. It's sort of tapered off. But when construction was in progress at the Big Air compound, I was working with this German guy, and his name's Jan. Great guy. I really want to have him on the pod. I've been trying to. I'm gonna hit him up right after this. But anyways, my point is, he's a carpenter. He immigrated to Canada from Germany because he wanted a
Uh-huh.
bike and live the life. And
Uh-huh.
anyways, he comes. He's like the freaking I don't know. He's the most precise and like it's just like to a T carpentry. And he
Yeah.
comes in like every American, not every American, you know, some people get like hand me down leather belts that were made from their grandparents. But
Right.
most Americans have like the Home Depot type work belt.
Right.
Where'd you get your work belt? Home Depot. Fuck you. You know? And then it's like Jan, he tells me this story of like how he got it from this German craftsman, and it's this beautiful leather belt with like probably hand pressed rivets and
Right.
just a freaking like amazing German crest as the belt buckle, and it was
Uh-huh.
just so much more. It was just pretty
Yeah.
than anything else I've seen in the States.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anywho, one last question. I don't
All
want to
right.
keep you too long. I know you're a busy guy. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Hmm. Um, good one. I think being invisible would be pretty cool. Probably being invisible. I thought about like the ability to read minds, but I think that would absolutely fuck up your entire life if you could read everyone's mind personally. Like,
Coming in hot, dude. Give it 30 years. It's gonna happen.
yeah, you can miss me with the Neuralink. I fucking hate the Neuralink. I think it's going to
Dude. I don't
cause.
want that shit.
It's like I feel like it's just giving the tech companies a free pass to fucking hack your brain. Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, I feel like your phones are already pretty. Um, I don't know if not incriminating, but they definitely. Like to
I've
some
been
extent.
incriminated from my phone before.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
I think most people probably like wouldn't want to hand their phone over to the government and have them look through it, which I'm sure they probably already do. But I just feel like the Neuralink is like a phone, but it's just integrated into your head, and yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. Tech,
Yeah.
tech,
That's
tech,
disturbing.
tech freaks me out. I think we should go back to strings and cups and letters and shit. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. And bring the bidet. Bring the bidet
Bidet.
to
Yeah.
America as well.
I don't know. I've never actually used one, but I feel like I wouldn't love water getting shot up my ass.
You didn't use one in Italy?
No, I did not use a single one in
Dude.
Italy.
Oh, I was in. Sorry, one last thing. I'll let you go. I was in Venice at my old Airbnb this last winter, and you know how it's like in America, it'll go straight up your butthole, right?
Uh, I mean,
Bidet.
I don't,
This
but yeah.
bidet, it was like separate of the toilet. So there's the toilet, then there's the bidet, which is like smaller, and it's got
Uh,
no lid on it. It's just a glass bowl. So you either
uh,
like can choose to sit down on it, I guess. I did both. I sat and I hovered. And then you turn it on though. It's gross. It didn't even clean my butt. It was like a faucet. It was like, but the faucet head was like facing out towards the wall. It
Uh-huh.
wasn't facing down or up. It was just towards the wall, and it was like a little fountain. And I tried.
Uh-huh.
It just didn't do shit. So I thought I was a little disappointed. Just little fun fact, really kind of shit the bed on that one. But it was
That was
yeah,
good. Uh,
it was great to have you on, man.
Thank you, Nolan. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, and for everyone, go follow Camden on Instagram. I'll put his link in the description below. And wait 1 second. I'm
And
gonna stop
uh,
now.
smash the like and subscribe button. Uh,
Oh, I haven't made. I need to make
uh,
things like and subscribe. I'm too lazy. I'm too American about it. All right, stopping recording. Bye, Camden.